Okay, hello. I'm Lisa Boyce. I'm an associate professor at Utah State University, and I am really excited to continue to be involved in the H-PEP project. I've been working with Naomi and her colleagues for maybe 6 or so years, and we've been, it's just been really exciting to work with the teachers, the practitioners, and the families in Hawaii, and really learn and work together to really figure out how we can help children succeed and do really well in school and really enjoy themselves. Part of my work has been working with lots of different groups to encourage early reading, emergent literacy. And one of my projects has been this storytelling for the home enrichment of language and literacy. So you saw this video clip from 0 to 3 that gives you a nice illustration of the importance of literacy. And it shows you just this general overview of how powerful reading with young children is, and it shows you that how powerful it is as a family, how you as parents add so much to that reading interaction, that you're bringing something more than a preschool teacher does or a child care provider, that relationship between you and the child adds something even more in addition to what another early educator would provide. What they're providing is still very powerful and helpful, but all these other components that are that the children are learning and the skills they're adding that are promoting the language and the comprehension and the literacy or the numeracy, that doing that right curled up to you, encouraging and having them feel that relationship with you and that warmth and how you're responding to them and their interests adds a whole nother dimension in addition to all those school readiness skills. So what I want to point out with this slide is the overlap between listening comprehension and reading comprehension. And as you look at this slide, the red areas of the brain are the areas of the brain that listening comprehension is where it's being activated, that are working with listening comprehension. The green areas are reading comprehension, and then the white areas show you the overlap between the two. So there's quite a few areas that the brain is, that part of the brain is active for both listening comprehension and reading comprehension. But I also wanted to point out how much area of the brain is being used for listening comprehension. And so as you're telling stories to your child, as you're having conversations with your child, as your child's asking all those why questions, why does this happen? Where does the sun go? All these different questions, and you're reading to your child, you're singing with your child, all of those activities that engage that listening and having your child need to understand more complex things about listening, that's working a lot of your child's brain, even more than the reading comprehension. So what you're doing those first 4 or 5 years of your child's life before they even get to reading is really important to prepare them for that reading. And then a lot of that overlaps. But a lot of that is preparing them beyond the reading comprehension for a lot of their cognitive development. So to tell you just a little bit about this SHELLS project, what our goals are with this is to use family storytelling to really build on this listening comprehension and to build on this family community and the richness of families to promote children's language and literacy. And then to capture that in a book to create meaningful literacy material. So a book that means something, that's not just something that you bring home from the library, but a book that means something to the child because it's about their family. It's about an experience that they had with their mom or their dad or their grandparents or their sisters and brothers or everybody. And so it matters to them. It's important to them. They're going to want to read it again and again because it matters. It's meaningful to them. So the process is to choose an activity. And we've done this in groups where we all come together, and we've done different groups of making slime or going on a nature hunt and coming back together in groups of 10 or 12 parents and kids doing things together, or just in a family activity of going to the beach and taking pictures of that activity to then make a book about it. But the thing that's different about this than just a scrapbook or making a book where you take pictures of different objects and then put it together in a book is that it's the activity that is really important, not just the pictures that you put in the book, that the activity and really promoting the conversations, because we want to promote the child's language and background knowledge and really those areas of the brain that build and enhance that listening comprehension that leads to later reading comprehension. So we really encourage you to ask questions and listen throughout the activity. So whatever activity it is that you've chosen to do with the child, whether it is you're at the beach or you're making dinner together and you're choosing to make pictures about that, and it's making dinner with mom, to ask questions and then listen to the answers. So, and letting the child lead. The child spends a lot of time following directions throughout the day and following a routine that's pretty much already set for them. So asking them, what should we build in the sand? And then, what are you going to do with that flag? And then maybe having the child predict an outcome that could happen. The water's getting close. What will happen if it gets too close to our castle? Having them do some prediction, which is part of science and hypothesizing. And then take pictures throughout the activity. Include yourself in the pictures. Make sure the child's in the pictures. They'll have so much more to say about the pictures later when they have familiar people in the pictures. We don't want pictures of just objects. We want pictures that create more to tell about, more excitement, more to explain what's going on. You'll be able to use a lot more verbs when there's people in there, where you're limited kind of to nouns when there's just objects there. So you can kind of see the language complexity that you'll have when you have people in there who are doing something. So taking those pictures. And then it's just so much more interesting for the child when they're in those pictures. And then it also just makes it more of a family moment when you have pictures of you together doing something together. And then put the pictures in order. So you're building a sequence. You're helping the child learn a sequence to a narrative, a beginning, a middle, and an end. So even with 2- and 3-year-olds, that's the beginning of helping them understand that narrative. So then talk about the pictures as you're gluing and taping them and putting them in the book. And write down the words from your conversation, asking the child, what's happening here? Why are you looking like that? What expression is that on your face? what is it that mom's doing here? What do you think is going to happen next? And then writing down the child's words and your words as the narrative for the pictures as you're putting them in order and putting them in the book. So here's an example here of maybe the day at the beach. So he's excited, the child's excited. Maybe he's saying, I went swimming in the ocean and I swam fast. And maybe you were into the Shark Week or whatever with Michael Phelps, and maybe you're having this other conversation and he's saying, I could have beat that shark, Michael Phelps anyway. So you're kind of bringing that into a conversation that you had last week or something that you'd been talking about earlier. Here you're building, you're asking, hey, what are we doing in this picture? And maybe the child's saying, we're building a sandcastle very carefully. And maybe you're asking him, why are we using the bucket here? Because if we use the bucket, the walls will be smooth. So you're expanding on what he's saying and beyond just, what color is the bucket? It's green. But why are we using the bucket? To really expand on, have more complex conversations. And then you're including that in your narrative there. And then make sure your child knows how important this is. Give the book a title, and then make sure your child is listed as an author. That you and your child, you made the book together, and make sure you're included as an author. Help the child understand that that narrative, those words, are the child and your words, and you get credit for them at the front. There's a title and there's an author. So you're setting it up for that emergent literacy, preparing them for the reading process. And you're helping them understand how a book is made and encouraging and hopefully supporting that motivation to read. And then read the book and reread the book and see if your child maybe even wants to read the book to you. They were there creating the story. They helped you write the words. They're probably able to read the book to you. And see if that helps with their motivation for later reading, because they're excited about this and they have experience and practice reading this book that they wrote with you. And so all these different opportunities to practice this reading and writing and have them feel successful about it and have it in these really positive moments and positive interactions, things that they probably will want to share with other family members, will give them a very positive feeling about reading that is associated with that. And there's lots of benefits for reading comprehension later on. That as you're having these conversations and you're extending and expanding, then you're building this more complex conversation beyond oftentimes the conversation you have with just back and forth of things you need to get done today, of, bring it here, time to come in, sit down, simple commands that you're really spending time. I love the expression that you have here of talk story, that you're really going to sit down, put things aside, and you're really going to hear how that person's day is, how they feel, what they think about something. Do you talk story with your child? I don't know. But what would that be like? And would that be a more complex conversation that you're really going to listen and you're really going to hear beyond the simple words, but really how somebody feels about something? You have the opportunity to build a larger vocabulary and also to identify connections between events, which is very important later as you get beyond just learning to read, but reading to learn as you get more advanced in the grades. You practice creating mental pictures as you're going along. You practice retelling through this experience, and then you practice with questions and answers. And all of those our opportunities in a situation that really honors the family and the importance of coming together as a family and documenting those experiences, that also is very powerful for reading comprehension. So you'll have the opportunity to do this in a group later, but I hope you take the opportunity to try this with your child or your children as a family and see if that is something that that you enjoy doing, and see how your child enjoys that and how they enjoy the book. Okay, thank you.